Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining. I am going to introduce our presenter tonight. So, our What is Vegan presenter tonight is Miss Rena Pillow. We know her as Rena.
Mhm.
Rena has been following a vegan lifestyle for 6 years, and she will celebrate her 7th anniversary on August 10th. She made the transition from pescatarian to vegan after a trip to Hawaii, not foreseeing, uh-oh, I'm sorry, not foreseeing that it would become a lifestyle choice for her and her family. During the initial year of COVID-19 pandemic, Rena created numerous vegan dishes while establishing her business, Rena LLC. She combined her passion for healthy eating and personal training to assist others in achieving their fitness goals. Being vegan has significantly improved Rena's health, alleviating her asthma, detoxifying her system continually, and providing her with abundant energy. She firmly advocates for integrating healthy living into daily diets as the world offers countless choices that can harm our digestive systems. So, with all of that being said, this is Rena, and she is going to present to us what it means to be vegan tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Soror.
You're welcome.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. So as Soror mentioned, my presentation is What is a Vegan and is presented by Vegan Rena, which is me. So a little bit about me. I'm coming up on 6 years being vegan. I went vegan August 10th, 2019, and that was due to a trip to Hawaii. The family that I was staying with at the time was plant-based. So I was pescatarian at the time, and I was encouraged to basically do that entire trip vegan or plant-based, which was super cool because it was a new opportunity for me. I currently have a vegan son that I'm raising. He just turned 10 months, and he is a chunky, healthy baby. Despite the vegan lifestyle, basically he eats what I eat, and all he knows is mom. So because I'm vegan, it's passed down to him. In 2020, I encouraged my mom to be vegetarian for her New Year goal, and she's been vegetarian ever since, which I think is super cool. She's coming up on 5 years in January. And then overall, I have a love for fitness, cooking, and just being active and healthy in general. I love being in the gym when I can. I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, who has given me the opportunity to present to you all tonight. And I just recently won Best Pasta in a Plant-Based competition via Instagram with Vegan Auntie. I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but she's super great, has a lot of different plant-based options and uh, recipes. So how it changed my life, as I mentioned, I was 3 years in a pescatarian diet. So that means I didn't eat meat. I only ate seafood. And I realized you can't eat seafood like you do red meat. So no one told me that. I was in college at the time and I was playing lacrosse. And basically, due to me eating seafood, I would cramp up all the time, fall out on the field. Like I just didn't know my body anymore. And it came to find out I had mercury buildup in my stomach. So that was why a lot of cramping was happening. Basically, lock systems in my body, lock muscles was happening. I will say in general, with me being vegan now, it's dismissed my asthma. I had asthma growing up all the way until college. And I haven't used an inhaler since being vegan. So that's definitely helped me. I even used to run 5 miles a day every day. So that was just super nice, being able to do that and experience that. It's also, as mentioned, brought energy to my lifestyle. I feel like I can run from literally when I wake up until the end of the night, whether I want to or not. Like I just have energy to do it. And that's even with the 10-month-old. So it's been super great. And it's assisted in skin enhancements. And by that, I just mean like overall, my skin is very clear. I don't have pimples as much. I don't have eczema anymore. I had that growing up as a kid. And just overall, like my body feels like well hydrated. It's also brought creativity for the kitchen, and it's provided knowledge of food portions and just what food groups to eat, and you'll learn about that later in the presentation. And it overall gives you a really good body cleanse. It's a natural detox way of eating. So you're constantly, yes, you may be constantly going to the bathroom, but at least you know your system's being cleaned on a daily basis. So what is vegan? Vegan is basically the living that seeks to exclude animal by body secretions and animal testing. So we don't eat any animal products, whether that's milk, dairy, eggs, butter, just your everyday, I'd say, things that you include like in your everyday eating. That includes honey too. Some vegans don't use honey and some do. It's just a matter of that mindset. Like I currently use agave or I'll use maple syrup. So that's just an idea. And then it's a habit. You have to be committed to the lifestyle. I always tell people you can do it for some days and you can go back to what you're doing, but once your body gets adjusted to eating healthy, it will turn you away from certain foods. Like I know people that stop pork, for instance, when they get pork again, you can tell a difference in your body. And I now get to the point where if someone says something's vegan and let's just say it has milk in it, I feel it that moment I put it in my mouth. So it's definitely a committed lifestyle. And honestly, I've never looked back. um, so the difference between plant-based and vegan, plant-based is described as plants from the earth, so in their natural state. So anything that grows from the ground or trees, and it's non-processed and is considered raw. So potatoes, literally going outside, picking potatoes and eating it in its raw form. With plant-based, you try not to use oils or grease or butter, things like that. You literally are eating it in its natural state. So zucchini, you can use a spiral cutter and have spirals. Zucchini has noodles. And same with marinara, you'd be making fresh marinara from boiled tomatoes and adding your own seasonings, that kind of thing. And vegan, you have a little more leeway. So we derive from non-animal foods. So basically, like I mentioned before, no cows, no chicken, no turkey, all those animals. And we're basically eating fruits and vegetables. Vegans do eat fake meat. So that's considered your Beyond the Meat, your Impossible Burgers, those processed foods. Vegans are allowed or do consider eating those foods. So healthy versus unhealthy vegan. I put a little picture up just so you can kind of see the difference. Healthy vegan is eating your fruits, your veggies, your nuts, your healthy fats, which is avocado, olive oil, just staying within your food groups of fruit, veggie, wheat, or whole grain, and then protein. And so our high protein foods, we'll get to that in depth later, but would be, for an example, like your tofu, your tempeh, or TPV, which is texturized veggie protein. And then an unhealthy vegan is one who eats junk food, basically, or fast food, like crackers every night or bread constantly. I know as a unhealthy vegan, I consider myself an unhealthy vegan when I go out to dinner with people because normally most restaurants only offer broccoli and fries. So, and then you have to ask, are the fries cooked in meat grease? So, that's when you are considered an unhealthy vegan, is basically when you're eating junk food or fake meat within every meal. So overall, where do vegans get their protein? It comes from protein powders, which are in a picture below. You can get it through your protein powder, or we have nutritional yeast, spinilla, um, those kind of like man-made alternatives of powder. And then we get our protein from nuts, so like your peanuts, your cashews, your almonds, and then seeds like hemp seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds. All those are very delicious. And then tofu is another one. That one you've probably seen a lot more than any of the regular sources of protein, just because it's affordable, and a lot of people use it in different creative ways. And then lastly, beans. Beans are kind of tricky just because there's a lot of different types of beans. The one with the most protein would be your lentils, whether it's red, green, or yellow lentils. And then overall, just know when you're eating beans, that also goes into your carbs. So you just have to be aware of your portions, as I mentioned before. And then vitamins. So as a vegan, I currently don't take any vitamins other than iron, just because I've been borderline anemic my entire life. But um, other than my prenatals, I wasn't taking any vitamins outside of just eating healthier foods. Most of your vitamins will come through items like spinach, kale, and broccoli and cauliflower are really good sources of vitamins too. The main ones that vegans need or look for is B12, iron, and magnesium. Those are the ones you'll hear us having deficiencies a lot in, but it all goes back to what you eat and what you include in your everyday meals. Another source of vitamin is a natural vitamin. It's called sea moss. It's now becoming a big thing to include in your day-to-day lifestyle, and it's basically a gel, or you can have it in like an applesauce form, and you just take 1 to 2 scoops a day, and that's a natural mineral, and it's basically like stepping your foot in the Dead Sea. I always say that just because that's literally your purest form of vitamins and health regulations, and just overall well-being is taking sea moss in the mornings. And some people, if you don't like the natural state, you can add it to your smoothies, your coffee. I like to add mine to desserts that I make. I give Kenai, my son, his just in his oatmeal in the morning. So that's definitely a good one to look into. Okay, so this is the big question, prices. So an average grocery haul for me, I normally go grocery shopping. I try to go every 2 weeks. It really just depends on what I'm making and do I have time? But I like to shop at Aldi. My average haul at Aldi is about $75, just because you can get more for your dollar there. And that's mainly just produce items, as well as like my grains. And every now and then I'll get some frozen vegetables from Aldi. The main one that kind of costs a little more is Walmart. That's where I'm getting my fake meat or let's see, what else do I get from Aldi, like my yogurts, my cheese, just different things of that nature. And as you see, fresh produce is anywhere from 89 cents a pound to $5. It really just depends on what you're buying. Overall, I would say every week or every grocery haul, I try to buy bananas, strawberries, blueberries, what else? And I would say grapefruit lately has been my main two. For fruits. For veggies, I like to do cauliflower, bok choy, and then bell peppers. And then so fake meat, they vary from prices depending on the location of the store. As I mentioned, that's your like Guardian, Beyond the Meat, and Impossible Burger. Those all vary from around $5 to $9. And it really just depends on if you're buying like the frozen meals or just the chicken or meats in itself. Canned goods, those are regular priced. Those are anywhere from 89 cents to $1.75 per can. That also is dependent on store, and most of the veggies and beans are the same price. And as I mentioned, my stores that I like to go to are Aldi. Food Lion I've lately been going to a lot more just because they have like the fresh ginger, the fresh turmeric, fresh beets, really good grapefruit and watermelon. I definitely slept on Food Lion. And Walmart, and then your local food markets are great for your mushrooms, and apples, things of that nature that can be sent in from other places. So overall, as a vegan, I would say yes, you're spending more money, but it depends on if you're buying more fresh produce versus frozen produce. And it also depends on how often you cook and how large you're cooking for. Like I said, most of my grocery hauls that I do every 2 weeks, I'm mainly just buying fresh fruits and vegetables because me and my son can go through a whole bowl in a sitting. So we just got to do better proportioning those. Sorry. So brands, some of the brands that you have seen in stores are anything from Almond Breeze, Guardian, Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat. Daya is how you pronounce like the cheese. They do mac and cheese, yogurt, your vegan cheesecakes, things like that. Silk is also milk and yogurt. Planet Oat is your oat milk. Tofutti, that would be like your vegan sour cream. They also have vegan cream cheese as well. And Chow, that's another cheese brand for vegans. And then Kite Hill, they also have your like vegan whipped cream, yogurt, butter, all of those things as well. Um, I will say, as far as brands, you really have to read the nutritional facts, just because at the end of the day this stuff is being man-made. So you have to consider, hey, do I want more calories, do I want more fats, do I want more less sugar? Those are all things to consider when looking at brands that work best for you. And then also knowing, hey, does this brand produce in a facility that also contains milk, peanuts, tree nuts if you're allergic, those kind of things. It's just different avenues to look at when you're starting to buy these different brands. I would say my main one that I use within my household would be your Daya Silk. And then I alternate a lot of Guardian and Impossible. Beyond, I'll buy every here and there, but it just depends on breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So overall, just some benefits about being vegan. It helps the economy. I've always been huge on recycling. So just encouraging people to recycle, whether it's a bottle here and there or, your local paper. It just overall makes you feel clean and the world feel clean. Um, and hey, if one person does it, it'll eventually pass on. And if we can all do it, we'll help, one, us live longer, and two, help the world that we live in our economy. It also helps with weight loss. I didn't even think to put a picture of myself, but when I first went vegan, I was down to a size 4. Keep in mind, I was also playing lacrosse at the time, so I went from, I want to say 160, like 180 to about 120, 130. I was borderline those pounds. But it definitely helps with weight loss. You're drinking more water and having more water-based fruits as well. What's another one? It enhances your energy. As I said, you wake up refreshed, whether you've gotten a full 8 hours or a full 4. And I've definitely lived on 4 hours of sleep for quite some time. So it's definitely a good resource for just enhancing your energy overall. And then it also makes you want to stay moving. You get to try new foods and express your creativity through the kitchen. It also, as I mentioned, is a natural detox. And I think it helps slow aging. I get told all the time I look really young, especially now that I have a kid. Most people are trying to figure out like who's the mom, because I guess look younger than what I look. And then as I mentioned, overall it helps the world. So those are just some great things about being vegan. So how to include it in your diet? Um, Give me one moment. I just want to make sure my computer doesn't die. Okay, so how do you include veganism in your diet? So I always encourage people to take baby steps. Um, You just got to start with something. Something is better than nothing, and I'm a huge advocate for that. Whether it be eating more fruits, whether it be eating more veggies, just do what's best for you in that period of time, because time changes and change can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. And exchange sweets with fruits. So instead of eating that brownie with ice cream and whipped cream, maybe try to just eat a brownie with strawberries on top, or whether it's like, hey, I'm really craving this cheese, 3 cheese, 5 cheese lasagna. Let me just eat a baked potato or a stuffed bell pepper, different things like that. Um, and meal prep and meal plan ahead of time. So if you know, hey, I'm going to eat a day of vegan today, like I'm going to just try one full day, make sure you plan out your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're going to have oatmeal. For lunch, you're going to have a salad. For dinner, let's just say you have broccoli, rice, and chickpea curry. Perfect. Like just make sure you're planning and preparing ahead of time. And then I always say make a deal or dare with a friend and have an accountability partner. Those kind of go together. That's actually how I started being pescatarian. It was a dare in high school. I used to eat bacon a lot. And one time my friend was just like, I dare you to be pescatarian. I'll give you $50 if you could do it for 3 months. Too easy. $50 was a lot in my head at the time. So that's an easy way to make $50 is don't eat pork. So that worked out best, and here I am. Let's see. Oh, uh, oh. Well, last slide is questions, comments, or concerns. So there was a few in the chat. One said, how long did it take you to transition? So from pescatarian to vegan, as I mentioned, because I was already eating plant-based on my trip to Hawaii, I literally just came home and took everything that said milk on the back of the box and gave it to my parents. And I was like, I'm going to be vegan, and I'm going to do it for as long as I can. And I'm gonna just see if I can do it. I knew I couldn't do plant-based because I was working constantly. So I knew breakfast, you would have acai bowls or smoothie bowls, and that was my breakfast almost every day until I decided to look up different things. And I would say just within me doing that, I love to cook, so I was excited to Pinterest recipes, go on Instagram, look for some recipes and reels, and different things like that. So I would say my transition was overall just, it took that 1 week of excitement and wanting to be vegan to fully transition to the lifestyle. Another question is, how important are seeded watermelons versus seedless? This one's super huge. I'm glad you asked that question, Nicole. So seeded watermelons are natural. And that's with black seeds in them, not the white seeds. And seedless watermelon is man-made, because how can you have a watermelon that's seedless if it's supposed to be natural from the ground. So, honestly, my craving with my son was watermelon, and I noticed a huge difference in taste versus the seeded watermelon and seedless watermelon. And it was just because one was fresh and you can actually taste the water and it would drip every time you ate it, versus seedless, it was kind of like, okay, I have the drip, but it's crunchy or it's not as smooth. And then if you even test, one of my friends did a test with seeded watermelon versus seedless watermelon versus seeded watermelon. She cut them both in half and she stuck it outside, and ants were all over that seeded watermelon in less than 20 seconds. And no animals whatsoever, no ants, no bugs, no bees, no flies were over this seedless watermelon. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what production is doing to our food. Another question says, what is your favorite dish and what do you cook non-vegan for family? Oh, this is my favorite. Thanks, Regina, for asking this question. So my favorite dish, I don't have a favorite, honestly. I'm a huge foodie. I would say anything pasta is my favorite. So mac and cheese, spaghetti, Alfredo. I make all of those vegan. Fun fact, I'm actually allergic to nuts. So my cheese bases are normally from tofu or something called nutritional yeast, which is a powder, a protein-based powder, which makes your dishes taste like cheese. So I use those in my pastas. And then I would say, what do I cook for my non-vegan family? This one's great because I love Thanksgiving. That's always been my favorite holiday. And so this year I had made a vegan crab casserole using heart of palm, which is basically an alternative or a family group of artichoke and or jackfruit, some of both. And I made that vegan crab casserole and it was the first thing gone, to the point where I had to literally say, "Hey, the real crab casserole is over here." For them to devour both, you know. So it was just super encouraging to see every one of my family members eat the vegan crab casserole, not even knowing it was vegan. And that's just a dish me and my mom like to make together. Another non-vegan, another vegan family dish I like to make would be taco salad. That's kind of layered just like lasagna, but it's with chips and ground beef, vegan ground beef, or meat alternative. And I would say really mac and cheese, baked mac and cheese. Some people can taste the difference. Just if you love cheese, you're going to taste the difference, but I can make it pretty close to the real thing. Um, Nicole asked, were those pictures of the meal plans ones that you cooked? No, so I don't know what happened to my, oh, okay. And the pictures weren't on here. So this is Veganrina. Um, I have my own website where you can order. We do meal plans, meal preparations, in the city of Fayetteville. We also do personal training, which is either in person or virtual. And then we do calorie constellations. I'm saying we, I always refer to myself as two people. But uh, but yes, I offer those services. The meal plans that were on the PowerPoint, I did not do. My meal plans I could not find, and they did not load on my PowerPoint. So no, those were not mine, but I do have a vegan Instagram, and it's just Veganrina at Veganrina on my logo here. And you can see all the dishes that I've done for people, for myself, whether it's smoothie bowls, all the way down to actual um, meal prepped plans and foods. Another question is, what protein do you use to prepare your pasta? Um, 1 second, my son is up. You guys can see my vegan son. Give me one moment. All right, so here's my little chunky man. This is Kenai. Say hi, Kenai. Dad just woke up. But this is my son. But it says, what protein do you use to prepare your pasta? So as far as pasta, when I make Alfredo, I'll use blended tofu. And I'll use that as my like cream base. Or sometimes I just use milk and vegan cheese alternatives. What else? I don't really use protein to prepare pasta. I'll use like protein noodles, so the chickpea pasta, I'll use that. And that's kind of where the protein's in my noodles. Um,
That's Rena, that's what I was gonna ask
okay.
about because I'm trying to keep an eye on my carbs, and I love pasta, so I've sort of cut pasta out.
Mhm.
But so what type of pasta do you use? Do you use like the regular, just your regular pasta, or is there a type of pasta that's better for us to
Um,
use?
so I like to use the chickpea protein pasta. Let me see. I can stop sharing for a second and get a picture uploaded. But it's by chickpea. The brand is chickpea. Um, and it's by Barilla. The brand is Barilla. And they have protein plus noodles. The chickpea protein noodles are also called Bonza. And let me just share screen again. So here you can see, so this is the spaghetti protein here. And then this is by Barilla. And then this is Bonza. This is the chickpea protein. And this one actually has a lot of protein. It's like drinking a protein shake. It has 20 grams in a full container. So I'll always use this as my base. It does cost a little more than your average average noodles, but it's totally worth it. And it's low on carbs as well. I will say, just whenever you do make protein noodles, just do it in proportions, just because if you're not working out consistently or doing some form of fitness while eating protein, it can backfire and actually cause your sugar levels to rise. So it just all goes back to proportioning and knowing what's best for your body as well. Um, thank you, Linda. And another question was, what is the most creative vegan meal you've ever made? Thank you, Nicole. That's a good question. So I would say the most creative would have to be, I made a vegan pad thai noodle one time. I will say it was very creative to the point where I actually didn't like it. Um, and I remember that was literally the only vegan dish I've ever made and didn't like it. But that was also my first time experiencing tahini or yeah, tahini, which is a sesame seed based like sauce, but it's not a sauce. It's more like seeded. I guess you could say sauce. It's like sauce. But that one was very interesting because I used rice noodles with tahini and tahini with asparagus and bell peppers. So that was a little different. I remember giving it to my mom and she was like, "This is a delicious." It just wasn't my thing, but I also wasn't used to seeds at the time. So that was something I had to get used to. Um Overall, I will say most vegan dishes are very creative. You definitely have to have uh a open mindset because you are going in knowing it's not going to taste like the real thing. And I think once people shift their minds to new things and creativity, they'll definitely understand a little more, vegan's actually not that bad. And depending on who cooks it, it can be better than the real food. So those are just different things to look into and try. And I will say, because you all came and logged on to this vegan presentation, I will send out a 3-day vegan meal plan that you can follow. And it has everything from breakfast to lunch to dinner and including snacks. And you guys can try that on a weekend and just see how you feel. And honestly, if you start it, you can do it, If you start and finish it, it can be a part of your lifestyle. So that's just something to encourage. I have something I had to encourage. One more question in the chat, and then oh, those are clapping hands. Thank you. It says, have you been able to influence your family to become vegan? So not fully vegan, just because my dad is a huge carnivore. And it's funny because recently his doctor told him he has to start eating a Mediterranean style diet. So now he's kind of opening his mind to just trying different foods as well. But I've gotten my brother to try vegan. He is currently gluten-free, so it's a little harder to be a gluten-free vegan. But no, I haven't gotten anyone to become fully vegan. It's normally either vegetarian or they'll try vegan options on the side. It's just because number one, I feel like the number one thing that's hard to get rid of is cheese. If it's not cheese, it's eggs. So and I think once people get past okay, the vegan cheese is different, it doesn't taste the same, or these tofu eggs just aren't good eggs, once you get past those, it's like, okay, I can actually do this. But yeah, overall, I think that is all of the questions in the chat. Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's all the questions. Did you guys have any more questions that you could think of, or any overall, hey, can you show me this again, or anything of that nature?
I have a question
Mhm.
about the sea moss. Is there a specific brand of sea moss that you use?
So brand, no. I've used the brands True Flow Essentials. They're based out of Atlanta and they are actually Black owned. I've also used Transformation Factory CMOS. And they are based out of, I want to say, Texas. And then another CMOS brand I used is CMOS Nutrition. They're based out of Texas too. It really just comes down to, do you want CMOS in its natural form or do you want flavored CMOS?
Mm.
And I will say the transformation CMOS, they have the best elderberry CMOS. And then Flow Essentials to me has the best natural state CMOS. I will say CMOS can be very pricey, but it definitely just de determ just depends on the size that you buy. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any more questions? I wish I could ask my son how he likes being vegan. Um, he eats a lot, so I'm sure he enjoys just overall eating and trying new foods. Thank you. Of course.
Yeah, well, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm glad you guys were all able to learn something. Oh,
Yes, it was
another
very
question. Sorry. I missed this one. How do you make vegan pancakes? So this one's super cool because I've been making them a little different just because of my son now. So if I'm making vegan pancakes for him, I'll do bananas, oats, um, vegan milk, well, in his case, breast milk. Um, and then I'll do the flavoring will be either like blueberries or strawberries. He really likes chocolate chips, so chocolate chips with a little bit of maple syrup or agave. And he'll eat pancakes like that. And then for myself, I like to do protein pancakes. So I'll use my vegan protein powder as my flour base, and then I'll just use milk, oil, and that's really it. You don't have to add salt, pepper, I mean, not salt, pepper, salt or baking soda in the vegan pancakes just because it'll rise naturally. Sometimes you can even make vegan pancakes by buying like the boxed pancake mix. Like if you just don't have time, you can buy boxed pancake mix that doesn't have any animal products in it, which would be your non-buttermilks pancake base, and just use that with your vegan milk and oil. Yeah, say yummy. Yep, I'm talking about food. I'm gonna have to give him some. Um, let's see. Um, okay, the rest of them were comments. All righty.
Yeah, thank
Oh,
you. Thank you, Serena.
you're
This was very
welcome.
informative. I actually learned something. Mr. Crawley's here too. He's
Oh,
been
yeah.
speaking up on mute. But yeah, April, if you don't mind getting the raffle together. Do y'all have any other questions or comments while we're waiting for that? All right. Hey, Kenai.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting for okay, Miss Loren,
All
got
right,
it.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I also just want to say thank you all for coming on and joining and learning about veganism. It's definitely something that is growing in our community, and I just appreciate this opportunity and thank you all for coming out and listening.
Okay, guys. Um, because you all were able to come out, we appreciate you coming out.